Shout out to Felix Gray for sponsoring this update. Your eyes weren't made to stare at computer screens all day, so give them a break with glasses that filter blue light and eliminate glare from screens. Get yours at felixgrayglasses.com/no. Welcome to the Know, I'm Ashley. Everyone knows that it's possible to get pirated games on the internet, no secret, but apparently they were available on Amazon too. Some Reddit users over the weekend noticed some pretty shady deals popping up on Amazon, like a $2.99 copy of the city building survival game Frostpunk. Raised a lot of eyebrows because that game usually retails for about $30, so that's quite a discount. Others noticed that games like Surviving Mars were being sold for just $3.99, which was also a suspiciously high discount. Finally, one Redditor, codependently wealthy, actually bought the game and figured out what was up. They wrote, "I decided to pay $3 to play detective. It's piracy. Someone took the GOG version of the game, repackaged it with their own installer, signed and published by Ace Media Group LLC, and submitted it to Amazon." Amazon hasn't responded to requests for comment, but we've noticed that some of these suspicious deals, like Frostpunk, don't appear to be available anymore, so that's something. Some Redditors also said they were able to get refunds. That's something better, but still, that's kind of a rough look for Amazon. Don't do that. Octopath Traveler, the throwback JRPG for the Switch that I've been playing way too much, released last Friday, but apparently it's been more popular than either Nintendo or Square Enix expected. The game is currently out of stock on Amazon here in the US. Apparently it's hard to find in Japan too. Consoles were used to being a little bit scarce at launch, but games, typically, that's not the case. It's kind of crazy. The game's Japanese PR Twitter account apologized for some stores being out of stock and suggested that people consider buying the digital version because, well, it's tough to run out of those. Although it has happened in the past, people have run out of keys. In the UK, the game debuted at number 3 on the charts behind Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy and LEGO The Incredibles. According to GamesIndustry.biz, the LEGO game just barely beat out Octopath Traveler for the second spot, and it added that Octopath's sales are almost double those of Bravely Default, which was published by Square Enix back in 2012, and was a great game as well. So, hey, good news for both Square Enix, people who love RPGs, and people who want to see more of this kind of game on the Switch. Seems like there is some demand. Nintendo has announced the winners of its Labo contest, and there are some very creative people out there. I would never in a million years have thought of these things. Maybe the most interesting invention was a solar-powered accordion that uses the Joy-Cons to play the notes, and it can also change the instrument's volume based on the direction they're tilted. That's amazing. Other winners include a tea time game that makes a game out of pouring tea and serving it to another person. Another winner made a working analog clock, and someone else made an adorable remote-controlled dinosaur. All the winners get the really awesome-looking ultra-rare Labo-themed Switch, and look, based on the creativity and the work that went into designing those, they have more than earned it. It looks like the rebooted System Shock remake is back on track, which is great news for fans. We've reported in the past how off track they got. This is an improvement. Night Dive Studios showed off its current progress on the remake, including some new screenshots, assets, concept artwork. It's all building to a milestone called the Adventure Alpha in September. At that time, the developer says it's going to release an early build of the game that will be reminiscent of the original game with the difficulty set to 0. Night Dive said that players will be able to freely traverse Citadel Station without the presence of enemies, pick up items, listen to audio logs, read emails, and complete the game's objectives from start to finish. You might remember that the remake raised more than $1.3 million via Kickstarter, which is awesome, but it got put on hiatus earlier this year after the dev team said that the project had strayed too far from the original vision of just remaking the 1994 sci-fi classic faithfully. But they came back a few months later with plans to get the project restarted. Looks like they are seeing some success. And if you're a fan of System Shock, that's great. The final DLC for the Metroidvania Hollow Knight has been announced. It's called Gods and Glory, and best of all, it is free for players on the Switch and PC. The developers at Team Cherry say that the DLC will have new bosses, music, quests, and new NPCs. The DLC is going to release pretty soon too, August 23rd. The uber tough game recently released on the Switch after being out for a few years on the PC and being hella difficult there too. It's been selling really well on both platforms, with more than 250,000 copies sold in its first 2 weeks on the Switch and more than 1 million units sold on the PC. So that's pretty dope. Two geek icons have recently changed roles. Now, you might have seen that fan-made Uncharted movie that starred none other than Nathan Fillion in the role of Nathan Drake. And while he did a great job, amazing really, fans of the series probably know that the character was voiced in the games by the actor Nolan North. Well, recently, Nathan Fillion confirmed he's not going to be returning as the Hunter Vanguard Cade 6 in the upcoming Destiny 2 Forsaken DLC. In a nice little twist of fate, Nolan North is taking over the role. Fillion said that it's a little heartbreaking that he won't get to voice Cade 6 because he loves the character, but he said that Cade 6 will be in good hands with North, who, let's recall, also replaced Peter Dinklage in the first Destiny. So he's just going to be, at some point, like every voice in Destiny. The DCEU is shaking off the big Justice League hit it took. I mean, critically, not commercially. Still made a ton of money commercially. But they're moving forward with their next slate of films. Aquaman is coming out this December, and Wonder Woman 84, that's, of course, 1984, not 83 sequels that you missed, in case you were wondering if you were magically in a coma, as well as that weird Joaquin Phoenix standalone, kind of connected, kind of not connected, Joker origin movie. They're in production. It looks like the Suicide Squad spin-off Birds of Prey also moving forward quickly. So they're working on a lot of movies still. The Birds of Prey film will have Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn leading her own all-female team of vigilantes and anti-heroes. The Wrap got the scoop on which DC characters will be joining Harley on her mission. The roster will be Harley Quinn, Black Canary, Huntress, Cassandra Cain, and Renee Montoya. Still don't know who they're facing off against, but the Wrap's sources say it will be a Batman comics villain who's never been portrayed on the big screen before. Mysterious. Keanu Reeves has a new film out called Siberia, and while on the interview circuit to promote it, he was asked by Yahoo News about the status of the much buzzed about Bill and Ted 3. And his answer wasn't exactly bogus, but it was way more bogus than excellent. Bill and Ted Face the Music was announced earlier this year, and Reeves says creatively it's exactly where they want it, but that the project a little bit stuck in the gears of Hollywood. Financing, rights issues, contracts, etc. They're slowing the project down to the point where he said, I don't know if the sequel is a reality. So that's not exactly promising. It's not really optimistic language, but before you lose all hope about ever seeing Station's righteous alien butt crack again, this is far from a death knell for the proposed Legacy sequel. The fact that its biggest star is still super excited about being a part of it means a lot, and people want to see Bill and Ted on the big screen one more time. So while momentum seems to have slowed down a little bit, and this wouldn't be the first time that movie seems to have been in some kind of development hell for years and years now, doesn't mean the film is off, but maybe it's longer than we thought it was going to be. After collecting mountains, literally mountains, of critical accolades for Arrival and Blade Runner 2049, director Denis Villeneuve is setting his sights on Frank Herbert's Dune. Very exciting if you're a Dune fan. It's long been thought that the epic 1965 sci-fi novel about intergalactic royalty vying for a precious resource called spice was unfilmable. Well, David Lynch tried and by most accounts failed with his infamous 1984 bomb starring Sting and Twin Peaks Kyle MacLachlan. Now Villeneuve is attached, and The Hollywood Reporter says he's got one of the biggest up-and-coming young actors to play the lead. That means we're going to see Call Me By Your Name's Timothée Chalamet ride a giant sandworm, which is kind of weird to think about if you saw him in that other movie. Hot off his Oscar nomination, the actor is in final negotiations to play Paul Atreides, the young inheritor of a planet rich with spice. The production company is planning an early 2019 shoot date, with someone of Villeneuve's stature taking on this material. We'll see how unfilmable it really is. I actually didn't mind the miniseries they made. I thought it was really, really okay. And sometimes with some books that may be the best you ever get, but I'm hoping that Villeneuve knocks this one out of the park. Fingers crossed. All right, that's all the news for this roundup. Let us know what you think of all these updates in the comments down below. To make sure you get news from every corner of the internet every weekday, like this video, and if you're new to the channel, subscribe to the know. Thanks to Felix Gray for sponsoring this update. If you've ever noticed your eyes tend to get kind of tired and strained after you've been gaming for hours and hours, or I don't know, being productive if that's more your speed, go you. There's a reason for that. Your eyes weren't made to stare at screens. They need a break. You deserve one too. Felix Gray lenses filter blue light and eliminate glare without having to be like that fluorescent yellow color you can see with some computer glasses. Plus, their frames are made of premium Italian acetate, which is the same stuff Versace uses. If you haven't used acetate before or had anything that's acetate, I don't know, it's kind of difficult to describe. It feels like plastic, but smoother, softer somehow. It's nice. Felix Gray glasses are available in both non-prescription, reading, and prescription lenses, and they have a bunch of different styles to suit different faces and heads. These ones, if you're wondering, they're the touring style. I like them. It's very difficult for me to find glasses that will fit my small head, but I found some and I'm so happy. Treat your eyes to a pair of Felix Gray glasses with free shipping and free returns at felixgrayglasses.com/no.